Over the years, Batman has appeared in just about every form of media. Video games, movies, TV shows, so it's more than understandable to forget 1, 2, or in this case, 9 actors who have played Batman. All 9 of which being relatively known names and faces to cover their face and mask their identity. Let's start off strong with Jimmy Kimmel. Yes, that's right, the man you all know and loathe. Believe it or not, the talk show host is no stranger to the DC universe, interviewing every man to play Batman in the last decade, and who could forget his deleted scene in Batman v Superman? But he's actually played Batman on one occasion too many. He doesn't actually talk all that much, which is both ideal for a Batman performance and also a Jimmy Kimmel role. And whatever little performance there was, it's mostly muted by a voice modulator effect. I don't know if he was cast as an inside joke, because I can't really call this stunt casting when it wasn't heavily promoted that he'd be playing the part.
I'm Batman. Batman returns. Batman forever.
But don't worry, because he's in good company. As equally, if not even more forgotten, is Ron Perlman's time as the Caped Crusader. Now he's unironically no stranger to the DC universe. Perlman's played Clayface in Batman the Animated Series, Killer Croc in The Batman, and Deathstroke in Teen Titans. You would think with his time working in various Batman continuities, it would give him some insight into portraying the Dark Knight.
Not exactly. Not necessarily.
On his own, he seems to carry a similar cadence. You'd think with a few light tweaks here and there, he'd potentially be perfect. But you would be wrong. Unfortunately, in practice, he's highly underwhelming, feeling like he's half asleep when delivering dialogue, and just generally having a voice that doesn't suit the character model.
Go ahead.
There's a problem in Metropolis.
I'm busy. Call Superman. I don't think he wants us to go inside.
Truly, you are the world's greatest detective.
Not today. Back off from those controls.
Then I think we can do business. We've been transported to another dimension. Maybe your magic powers...
I guess what works on paper doesn't always work as well in practice. Which is similar to how I feel about the next entry. And while this role is much more recent, most people still seem to forget that Keanu Reeves played Batman in DC League of Super Pets. Now, you might think that Constantine would make for a good parody Batman. He naturally has a monotone, stoic-sounding, somewhat gravelly voice. Sounds like the perfect match, right? Instead, for one reason or another, it's a total mismatch. I could pretty much copy and paste my description for Ron Perlman's Batman here, and it would be just as valid. Casting seemed promising, didn't pay off, performance is so dulled down that it sounds like the actor's not even trying, the voice doesn't match the model, and the part's played by someone who is far above this particular portrayal.
So, you are a dog. I am the Batman. Hey, stop chewing on that batarang. Bruce Wayne paid a lot of money for that, and then gave it to me as a present. That better be a licensed toy or I will freak out. Good boy. Okay, the Batman loves you too.
This next entry holds an important place in the character's animated history, taking over the role in the first ever animated Justice League movie, Justice League: The New Frontier. Jeremy Sisto of Clueless fame did well in bringing this Batman to life, despite sounding virtually lifeless throughout. His Batman still manages to feel true to form. While I can't say that his voice was exactly ideal, his delivery was. He didn't always sound the part, but he did always sound the part, if that makes any sense. Rewatches have only made me appreciate his time in the role that much more.
I have a $70,000 sliver of radioactive meteor to stop the one from Metropolis. With you, all I need is a penny for a book of matches.
Do you mind if I ask you?
As a matter of fact, I do. Let's just say I set out to scare criminals, not children.
Fair enough.
Welcome home, Mr. Jones.
Why didn't
you sense me as you seem to do others? That's my secret.
Ben McKenzie may be best remembered for his time in the Batman-less Batman show, Gotham. But years before he acted as a young Commissioner Gordon, he played a young Batman in Batman Year One. McKenzie managed to make Batman sound like a much younger, less experienced, and at times lost Bruce Wayne, sounding less like the myth that Batman becomes, and more like the man who's going on to discover and define that myth. His Batman works well within the confines of an origin story, because his performance sounds so much like Batman, but like a Batman who has not yet been perfected.
You've eaten well. You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over. Nothing harms me, but I know pain. I know pain. 18 years since all sense left my life. Amateur. Lucky amateur.
Peter Weller, who is best remembered for his time as RoboCop, only in the good RoboCop movies I'm told, got his chance to play the Dark Knight in The Dark Knight Returns. And I'm going to be in the minority for this one, because I've heard a lot of good things about this performance, but I've never personally particularly cared for it. I have a hard time articulating what exactly is wrong for me, but I think it just comes down to the fact that it doesn't feel all that believable to me. It's just not the kind of voice I'd expect for Batman, and some of his deliveries feel a little stilted and just otherwise off. In my own opinion, at least. But having said that, I am definitely in the minority on that one. Most people seem to love this Batman, so take what I say here with a grain of salt.
Tonight, I am going to maintain order in Gotham City. You are going to help me. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. But not with these. These are loud and clumsy. These are the weapons of cowards.
Now this one is maybe the most obscure on this list, as even I, a die-hard Batman fan, knew nothing of it before making this. And that's Winston Duke's performance in the Batman audio drama, Batman Unburied. Not only was I unaware of this actor playing this part, I was unaware of the place that he was playing the part in. Since I haven't heard the audio drama, I won't talk too much in too much detail on this one, because while I've heard his lines, I haven't fully formed an opinion on his delivery, as I don't know the context behind this version of the character, or the version of events that he's in. So until I inevitably check that out here on the channel, listen to this and let me know what you think in the comment section below.
Dr. Bruce Wayne performing autopsy.
The harvesters ruined a lot of people's night.
Starting recording. Time is just after midnight, November 14th. Police have transferred a Jane Doe. The way I do this makes some people uncomfortable.
Now these last two entries are where things get real interesting. Maybe most surprisingly out of anybody I've listed, and even anybody I will list after the fact, we have Ethan Hawke. Now Ethan Hawke was actually offered the part in the past, being Joel Schumacher's first choice in replacing Michael Keaton in Batman Forever. But as history has dictated, Hawke turned the role down, in favor of starring as the hero years later in the animated children's show, Batwheels. Which is a strange statement, just generally speaking, but it's also a factual statement. Ethan Hawke, A-list actor, plays one of the most iconic heroes of all time in a cartoon for toddlers. As this is for a much younger demographic, this isn't exactly the grim, gritty crime fighter that you might be used to seeing. But his voice is still gravelly, so there is that. It's a pretty basic Batman impression, but it's alright for baby's first Batman. All things considered, I think he does a pretty decent job for what's required of him.
Batman, would you mind answering a few questions?
I'm afraid I don't really, Not this time, Joker.
Batman?
I don't talk about the Batmobile special equipment. You're right, but maybe we don't have to. Batmobile, ultra high beams, on. Hold it right there. Don't you have enough stolen trophies in your case, Harley?
Care to comment on that?
No.
Now, funnily enough, when Ethan Hawke turned down the role of Batman in Batman Forever, that part was then offered to Billy Baldwin, a man who would also turn down the role and then go on to play the character later in a cartoon. What are the odds? I guess Hollywood really is out of new ideas. Billy Baldwin plays Batman in Justice League: Crisis on Two Earths. I wouldn't say that this is a poor performance. It does feel like he's trying, but his voice just sounds a little too subdued. It's not terrible, but I don't think this would ever be anybody's favorite iteration of the character. I can understand it being looked past in a long line of men to take the mantle, but I think that we all can, or at least should agree, that he had one of the greatest lines any Batman before or after him got to deliver.
We both looked into the abyss. But when he looked back at us, you blinked.
So that was my list. Let me know how many of these Batmen you knew about, how many you wished you could forget, and how many you're going to be looking up immediately after this video. And of course, if you like this video and want to see a video on more obscure Batman performances, let me know in the comment section below by leaving a comment saying,
It was the Batman.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was V Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.